Hello, welcome everybody. This is going to be your astro forecast for April 21st to April 27th. Now, normally I do a live stream and you guys get to chat with me, but actually, by the time this video goes live, April 20th, it's my birthday. So I'm not going live today. So hopefully, this will justify my birthday celebrations. Also, speaking of birthday celebrations, I am stepping into the mode of receiving. So if you guys want to gift me anything, I have a wish list linked below for my birthday. I'm stepping out of my comfort zone and asking. So, like, comment, subscribe. Those are also gifts in itself. So, a little housekeeping before we get started talking about this week's transits. Wonder if you can hear the hawks screeching outside. They're so beautiful. But housekeeping, my Discord community is live. It's linked down below if you want to join. It is a space for people of all different walks of life. We have so many people learning, teaching. We're all just showing up and holding space for each other. Also, my newsletter gets delivered every Monday, and it takes these transits that I talk about here, puts it in a written format, and it also jumps into more journal prompts and gives you more insight. So if you want to get that, subscribe below. It is amazing. Plus, when you subscribe, I also send out some other monthly stuff as well. What else is on my agenda? My books are open for May, so if you want to get a reading with me, get a reading with me. Okay, I believe that is it. So normally this is a live streamed video, so I'm going to kind of keep the same cadence that I do when I'm streaming. Off to the side, I have the charts pulled up. Normally when I'm streaming on Sundays, which it's Sundays at 4 p.m. PST, I normally go live. I'm sharing my screen. I'm talking about the aspects. I'm going a little bit more in depth, but this video, we are going to keep it a little bit light, but I'm still going to give you the depth of information. So if you see me looking off to the side, it's because I am looking at the chart. On the 20th, when you guys get this video, there's a lot of transits that are already happening. I talked about that in my previous video, which is going to be linked in my YouTube, so I'll link that down below as well. So go ahead and check that out if you want more in-depth information about what's happening today when this goes live. But when we look at the week, nothing massive happening on Monday or Tuesday, but we get to Wednesday and we really start coming into a very confrontational energy. So we are having the sun in Taurus. The sun just moved into Taurus on April 19th, and it's going to be squaring Pluto in Aquarius. I've personally been going through this transit, so I definitely feel that I have the lived experience to share with you what this transit's going to bring to the surface. So we have the sun, which is our ego, it is our identity, and it's going to be squaring Pluto, which is all about initiation and integration and traveling to the underworld and back up. It is Hades, right? When we're looking at the archetypes. So this is looking at control here. As I look at it here, we've got essentially the underworld of Pluto meeting the archetype of the body, which is Taurus, sun in Taurus, right? With Pluto being in Aquarius, it really brings in this generational pull of looking towards the future, looking at this higher expansion. And when we look at this square, so let me talk a little bit about a square before I dive too deep into this. So a square is a 90-degree angle, and it creates tension between planets. And it sort of is this, I like to think of it a little bit like our tectonic plates, like slow, gradual tension allows things to happen. And that slow pressure building has to be released somehow. So we have earthquakes, we have, volcanoes erupting, we have tsunamis, we have these big expressions that come out. So this square activates essentially kind of a soul level restructuring. And it is in the area of our routines and our comforts and our pleasure, which is all Taurus is about. So Pluto is here really pressing up against Taurus and is like, are you sure that really brings you pleasure? Are you sure that, you know, you really deeply want to indulge in those things? Like, it's sort of bringing in this like realization of gluttonous behavior. Taurus is so resistant to change, and Pluto here is like, you don't really have a choice. Like, there's sort of this kind of I'm kind of feeling like this seductive nature of Pluto here being like, you know, you can pretend to ignore the fact that I'm right here and I'm calling you out. So Taurus has kind of got this like white knuckle grip, our sun in Taurus, on stability, right? Not wanting things to fall apart, not wanting life to change. You know, you've built things and it's cool and it's nice, but on the other side of releasing and relinquishing control to Pluto is the recognition that maybe you were never living in alignment in the first place. So there's kind of power struggles here, especially with groups or identity or being tied to social status, right? And the invitations. So transits are always invitations for us to grow, right? Whether that's a growth in an area that feels really supportive or it's growth within an area that's going to challenge us, okay? So this conscious invitation that Pluto is inviting the sun to look at is essentially, can you let the discomfort show you where you need to evolve, right? There's this part of Pluto squaring the sun in Taurus that really brings in this tangent of embodiment, of being present in the body, being present of what's coming up. Like, truly, as a Taurus sun here, your resident Taurus sun with the deep embodiment practices and all the things, like really tuning into somatic practices that allow you to be in alignment with your body and like understanding what those gut reactions are, or why you feel your throat close up when you're speaking your truth, or why you feel like a tightness in your chest when you're being called to show up to something that expands you, right? So there is this question that is being asked here. Pluto is saying, hey, where are you afraid of your own power? And I love that the wind just is doing this with the curtains. And that's what's coming up here with this Pluto squaring the sun, right? So truthfully, when we look at it, like, this isn't about control. It's about capacity, right? Can you hold friction, like whatever's coming up, without collapsing into fear? You might collapse. And that's okay. It's the learning. It's the learning. Like, all astrology is an invitation to get closer, right? So, suggestions for this, like being in nature, being out there barefoot, you know, the sweet Taurus in me just wants you to be out in nature barefoot and eating yummy food, but also like just being present with your body is going to really give you some insight here. So that is happening again on the 22nd. And then shifting here, looking at my calendar here of what we have coming up next. This is a transit that we have been kind of going through because Venus has been has retrograded from Aries back into Pisces and is now just moving direct within Pisces. So moving forward here, Venus is conjunct Saturn in Pisces again. So this has kind of been something that's been happening, and this is happening on April 24th. Is Venus conjunct Saturn. So they're both still hanging out in Pisces, and this is bringing in that layer of structure to love, right? So love meeting law, devotion meets discernment. And we've been really, and I'm feeling it in my body. We are I love when I get these bodily responses to the transits as I think about them, as I talk about them. I can feel them, and it allows me to talk about it more in depth. But as we're shifting into this, you know, we've had this Venus retrograde that has really been having us expand and open our heart and allowing us to get closer to what it is we truly desire, right? And so when we bring Saturn into the mix, Saturn's like, okay, that's a beautiful fantasy, especially in Pisces, but it's like, well, where's the practicality? Where, you know, so Venus and Pisces just wants to merge. Hi, Venus and Pisces resident here, like this energy is not for the faint of heart. It's just all about loving, 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 loving with no limitations. And we need containers, right? And Saturn is that container. So there's sort of this, like, when it's not actualized, right? We get this feeling of like, you might feel unloved or rejected with this, romanticizing things to a degree that's not healthy. Escaping responsibility for, you know, emotional pleasure, right? So when we look at this transit as like a conscious invitation, this, as I'm looking at it here, you know, there's this maturation in devotion that's happening here. Like we have been going through this process of truly, truly allowing ourselves to mature within love, right? What makes love feel sacred and structured? You know, what makes you really feel held? Like this Venus retrograde has, at least for myself personally, and a lot of personal things are coming up with it as a, you know, natal Venus and Pisces, like truly reviewing where I have let my boundaries completely dissolve for somebody else. And there's a lot of discernment and a lot of structures that have been coming in. And so I'm really excited for this transit, right? So commit to what softens you and what steadies you and explore boundaries. It's like there's so many talks about boundaries lately, like TED Talk talking points, podcast talking points, boundaries, right? You know, explore boundaries as an act of care and not restriction, right? I also think there is the other side of the coin with this transit of like respecting other people's boundaries and like how to receive a boundary. Like when somebody says, actually, you know, this happened, like how can we soften into that too? So, you know, this is spiritual discipline when it comes down to it. It's making me think about a video I shared in my Discord. By the time this video's out, it'll probably be like a week ago, where this woman is talking about emotional maturity and how to interact in the co-created container that is Earth. You're not alone here, and we have to have responsibility of how our emotions and how we interact with the space is being perceived, right? You can't just go around and just spill your emotions everywhere. That's not emotional responsibility. So this is kind of like the actual act of this is what it feels like. You know, very, very exciting. Let me know how this is landing for you guys in the comments as you guys are moving through. And as this transit's happened, as Venus retrograded over Saturn and now is going direct over it. So, all right, looking here, we've got, as I was looking at the transits for this week, I was like, oh. And not in a bad way, just in a invitation way. So on April 26th, we have Mars in Leo. So Mars just moved into Leo last week when this video's out, and he's opposing Pluto. Now, the last time we had a Mars-Pluto opposition, it was within Cancer and Capricorn. So this is a shift in an energetic dynamic from the axis of nurturing and building Capricorn to the axis of, We have self-expression to collective expression, right? So this is essentially, so oppositions are, it's sort of this push and pull, right? And oppositions are looking to be balanced. So we have Pluto, and we were talking about Pluto when we were talking about the square that's happening earlier this week. But Pluto is in Aquarius, and it really is this shadowy energy of the underworld. But within Aquarius, it brings this higher texture of collective connectiveness. Sometimes the words are, I'm struggling with them. But this is essentially the will to act meets the shadow of power, right? So we have fiery, performative, egoic, primal Mars here versus evolution, which is Pluto. It's like, who's going to win this battle, Pluto or Mars? Pluto. When we look at it, it's like this destruction. It's high stakes energy, ripe for kind of projection, right? So kind of this unconscious energy of it is explosive anger, emotion coming up, needing to win at all costs. Mars is like, I'm seeing like a gambling table too. It's just like all stakes and like all chips. And I know nothing about gambling. That's just what's coming in. This can project power struggles onto others or authority. So Pluto can represent this sort of higher archetypal energy, this authoritative energy that is the world outside of us. And Mars is this representation of our will, our desire, our drive to get things done. And they're in opposition. So it could be like you feel that you are at opposition with the world, at opposition with an authority figure of somebody you deem higher than you, right? So there's this power struggle that's happening. And this could even, if it's not an external thing, this could be just happening within you, within a part of you that you unconsciously believe is higher up or has a level of authority over your ego sort of situation that's happening here, right? So this is all about owning your desires without shame. Because Pluto strips bare, like you cannot hide from the energy of Pluto. Pluto is here to really look at you and be like, and hold a mirror to you. And it's this mirror that dissolves anything that's standing in the way. And so we've got our warrior standing here, loud, proud, with this Leo costume on. And it's like, what are you underneath that? What are you underneath the performance? Like, I'm almost seeing like, if you've ever been to like a Renaissance fair where you have like the people who are dressed as knights and who are battling and whatnot, and it's like at the end of the day they are just a person. This isn't like, we're not back in those days. It's kind of reminiscence of bringing that energy to the forefront of like, this is fun to look at, but if we were to actually look at the person without the armor on, it's like, who actually are they? They're just playing a role at a Renaissance fair. They are just jousting against one of their coworkers. They're literally being paid to perform here, right? And this is like, okay, so you strip off all this armor that maybe gave you a title, gave you, ooh, this is powerful energy as I'm, channeling into it, like stripping away your ranks and your, whatever I'm seeing, like your coat of arms, like actually seeing like, do you really stand for that? Are those actually your beliefs? Is that the foundation that you're going to move forward on? Pluto is here to call you out. It just is, right? So use your fire as your fuel, not as a weapon. Like, it's actually getting clarity on, am I approaching things from a scarcity mindset, from a mindset of like, I have to go all in with this fame and this fame. Interesting. I meant flame, but maybe fame here, especially Mars and Leo energy, but this powerful, potent energy going forward. Like, is that really the essence that you truly want to move forward. And maybe it is. And maybe you're like, this is it. Like, I'm so set in my truth with this. Okay. Or, work with your inner warrior. Ask yourself what you're truly fighting for. That's what's coming here. So it's like really stripping yourself bare of the false armor that you may have put on. Like, when you think of a knight, going back onto that archetype, they're fighting for a kingdom. Is that the kingdom you actually want to be fighting for? Maybe you want to build your own kingdom and call new people in. So it's like really facing this. I, as like embodiment, like move your body, dance, scream, shake it out, go to a martial arts class. Like, this comes down to like Mars and Leo is saying, I just want to be seen. And Pluto's saying, for what? And I really see like that inner child energy coming out with Mars and Leo here, where it's like, I just want to be seen. I just want to be seen. And then it's like, for what? Like, what do you really want to be seen for? And it's not from, and Pluto's not here from like a angry or judgmental area. Pluto is here as the invitation saying like, get clear. Get clear. So very fun transit, and it's going to lead into what we've got going on the 27th, and I will do a full video on this new moon, and I will have a newsletter coming out. So subscribe to my newsletter for that, because I want to really dive into the juice of that in its own video. It deserves its own video. It deserves its own like ritual piece within my newsletter. So click the link below for that. So on April 27th, we have a new moon in Taurus. Okay. So this new moon in Taurus is actually going to be creating a T-square with Mars and Pluto. So that's creating this sort of tension field, which actually allows the energy. It's going to be coming out of the energetic portal of Scorpio, which is very interesting. And we'll talk about that more in depth. But, this new moon is essentially rooted in pressure. It's like this pressure cooker, and our exit point is Scorpio, right? It should feel earthy. It should feel sweet. That's what we'd want from a new moon in Taurus. But with Mars and Pluto involved, it comes with a soul contradiction before expansion. So that's meaning just taking that energy of Mars opposing Pluto and bringing it into like you're taking this energy, and now you're interviewing them in a room of like, hey, so let's write up a new contract, and they're like, what? And the new sun and moon are just sitting in Taurus like, I don't know, I just work here. It's kind of the energy I'm feeling. But there's sort of a clinging to comfort that comes with this new moon. Passive aggression can come here too, avoiding emotional labor. There's this, desire to actually plant seeds on this new moon. Taurus moons are so great for setting intentions, and the fact that it's a new moon in Taurus, it really feels very supportive of like your dreams, and that Mars and Pluto opposition really is allowing for clarity to come through. So, right, slow down enough to actually listen to your body here, and watch my new moon video when it comes out to really dive into the energy. But essentially this new moon wants, from what I'm like, it wants roots, but it also asks like, you have to shed. Like, I'm seeing a snake here shedding its skin. It's like, you want new roots, but like this, who you are and who, like, we've been in this birth canal energy the last, essentially since the start of this year. And this really is the moving into the new energy, this new moon, right? So essentially the kind of themes to weave through with this week coming up: pressure as a portal, right? What wants to be born through friction? Like this previous full moon that we had in Libra really had us reflecting on things. And now it's like we're in the active application of what we reflected on and what came to illumination. And so more things are going to come up. More things are going to, create friction. And friction usually comes with choices and decisions and really looking closer at the details of things that are happening in our life. So like claiming power, not as dominance, but as sovereignty, right? There's a lot, you know, as a Taurus sun here, there's a lot that has to do with like trusting your body in this too. It's like always coming back and checking with your body what is coming up. I'm being suggested to invite you guys to read The Body Keeps the Score. That book really talks about trauma stored in the body, and some of these transits could be bringing up some of those heavier themes. But yeah, so, you know, recapping as I look at the transits here on the 22nd, we have Sun squaring Pluto, 24th, Venus conjunct Saturn, 26th, Mars in Leo opposing Pluto in Aquarius. And then the 27th, we have our new moon in Taurus with a T-square that is happening. So, you know, what wants to evolve in you is this week. This week is the invitation for evolution. Haha, that's so exciting. So hopefully as you move forward with this week, remember to listen to yourself, listen to your body, stay connected, sign up for my newsletter for more insights with this new moon that's going to be coming up. It's linked down below. Again, today is my birthday as this goes live. So the best way you can support me is liking this video, sharing this video with friends, family, commenting, all the things. If you want to get closer with me, you can join my Discord. We're active in there. Currently have a book club going on. It'll start up again once we finish this current book. And, you know, if you want to gift me something, I would love that. I am working on receiving, and I'd be happy to receive anything that feels authentic for you guys to give. So with that being said, I'm so grateful for my gift of using words as magic, and hopefully this video resonated with you. I love you guys all so much.